Today I'm showing you the best endgame build. I would have done this sooner, but I kind of got wrapped up in speedrunning the game for my final days and then got so bored beating the game so fast that I quit the game and moved on. But now that the DLC is about to be released, I wanted to come back and provide a top build that destroys everything. 90% of bosses are going to get instantly deleted. Basically, everything in the game, besides a couple of sections, you're going to straight steamroll. And then for the other sections, you just have to take it a little bit slower. But let's get into the build. So we're going to start off with the Prince of Death staff, because this is an end game. So this is assuming that you're at least level like 500 plus, and the Prince of Death has the highest sorcery scaling in the game once you get to end game. Now we're going to use the Rivers of Blood, but there are a couple of other weapons you can use. I mean, you could use the Blasphemous Sword. Uh, you'd have to lose a couple of pounds, but the Giant Crusher can put out an insane amount of damage as well. The really nice thing about the Rivers of Blood, though, is it weighs nothing. So we very easily keep our medium load with using all the top armor as well. And when we want to use our Mimic as bait, we send them out with the sword and the shield, and he'll inflict bleed occasionally as well, speeding up the kills of the hardest targets just in case you do miss your Azora Blast. So, moving on, we are going to be using the Fingerprint Stone Shield. This combined with the Katana is excellent to basically sit there and counter just about everything. And we're going to have a spell that basically makes this 100 in every category. Like, you basically take no damage from magic, very, very little on the highest damaging spells. If you're holding block, no damage from lightning, no damage from fire. Like, it's not a true 100% negation, but it's like 95% negation. So that shield comes in really beast a lot of times. We're going to be using the Golden Order for the highest incant scaling, and be showing you the spells in just a moment. We're going to be using the Staff of Loss only for one spell, because this gives our main non-killing boss or high value ambush targets, all our common enemies we're killing. This gives us a 30% boost in damage. So just occasionally we're going to be using Staff of Loss, and then occasionally we're going to be using the shield. You kind of just swap between the two depending on the targets you're fighting. So if you're endgame, you should have the weight to just put on the best armor. So why not put on the best armor? Now, same purpose for our spells. We could add a little bit more in damage. The one that boosts sorcery spells only boosts it by like 7.5%. You do have the charged option as well, but for the most part, mana is not a concern. So we can shorten our spell casting time by about 20%, basically equating to 20% more damage, the same as the charge. But we actually inflict more damage because we're spamming our attacks and not concerned about the FP. So that is why I go with the Ragadon icon one over there. Now there's not too much useful for the offense. So instead, I'll put one for the physical defense, one for the non-physical. And you could tweak the non-physical to, or you could tweak the physical one to either like magic or lightning or holy if you're fighting one of the hardest S-class bosses, or for some reason you need a little bit extra negation, or you could swap this one to really whatever if you have a section that needs a different talisman. And then just to add a little bit extra HP, I put this on. Like, this build really doesn't need specific talismans. This is just an overall right here defense across the board, and then just shortening of the spells. Honestly, it's really all you need, especially given the spells we're going to be using. Those arrows don't mean a damn thing because we're not using arrows, but let's get into the spells real quick. So You don't even need all the spells for this build. Like, occasionally you're going to want to put on the one that purifies, like if you get into a high poison or scarlet rot area. For the most part, you have one open spell. Now, for times where we're guarding against enemies with very high magic or flame attacks or lightning attacks, dragons, things like that, then we have our Scholar's Shield. That's really the only time we need it because we get 100% physical damage and basically like 80% damage negation for everything else across the board. So you really only have to use this against very high value targets. Terra Magic and Comet Azora, that combo will basically instant kill any boss. Throw your Mimic out there. I'll show that in a moment. I skipped over the Mimic, but we are going to use the Mimic. So basically, for every boss, you just throw the Mimic out there, wait for it to get the boss to get aggro to it, and the moment it is about to be standing still for a couple of seconds, you use your infinite mixture, which I'll show you in a moment, and just kill it with the Comet Azora. Like 9 out of 10 times, you instant kill it. The rest of the time, you take so much damage, then you just quickly switch to Night Comet, pop a potion or two if needed, and just finish it off with Night Comet. Now we have the heal right after that, just occasionally if we need to quickly heal. It's right after our Night Comet, so we can quickly swap to that. Now, Frenzy Burst, you can actually take out of your spell list for most of the game, but it basically has infinite range and does pretty decent damage. So it's really good to just snipe anything on the map if it's really far out, or if you're in a troublesome area and you want to kill them but you're not in range. Frenzied Burst will hit anything really on the map. If you can see it, you can basically hit it. So that's why Frenzied Burst makes the cut. And then we have Golden Vow, which pretty much we just, if we're not one-shotting things, then we throw it up there if this is going to help us get a one-shot kill versus a two-shot, or a two-shot kill versus a three-shot. Then for that section, we'll throw on Golden Vow just to have a little bit extra attack. You could also keep throwing it up for defense. It doesn't cost much to keep putting it up every 90 seconds. And just a couple of other things in the build. We have our mix. This is basically just to instant kill bosses. We eliminate all FP consumption, so we can use our Azora Cannon for like 20 seconds. And then we add like another 20% damage to our magic attacks. And just to show you, our flask ratio is going to be 11 and 3. And the reason for that is because you can gain up to 3 potions per grouping on some groupings, but you can never gain more than 3. And if you're using more than 3 in any boss battle, you just need to step up a little bit. Like, you shouldn't need more than 3. Maybe for one battle or two battles in the game, you might want to reallocate it a little bit. But for the most part, just running through the game, 11 and 3 right there. And as I showed you, really all you need here is the Mimic. That's the only thing that you even need in your down slot. And then, depending on what you're fighting, you can go sword and shield. You can go shield and staff, or you can go double staff and have bonus damage on your Night Comet. Pretty much cakewalk everything in the game. With a moderate amount of skill, this build is truly OP. If you like the video, leave a like, comment, share. It helps others find the video. I hope this helped.